Stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Are you a family caregiver? Are you caregiving for someone who can no longer take care of themselves? Are you overwhelmed? This is Caregiver Solutions Info with Marcia Teele. Marcia will be hosting an hour of true stories and information, tips and updates of the latest research and necessary information in the caregiving field, focusing on you, the family caregiver. An Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert, Marcia has 15 years of hands-on experience at Arden Courts, a leader in assisted living dementia communities here in the U.S. Marcia covers everything you need to know as a family caregiver, especially if you care for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementia or chronic illness. If you have a friend or relative that is also a family caregiver, call them now. They won't want to miss a minute. And let them know they can watch on caregiversolutions.info. And they can listen on WNN 1470 AM in South Florida or nationally on the iHeartRadio app. Now, sit back, relax, and learn from our host, Marcia Teele, as she brings information to you that may just be the caregiving solution you need.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Solution Info Show. I'm your host, Marcia Teele, and I'm so happy that you could join us. Hopefully, you discovered that the show is now at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We did have a time change recently, and that's because we're growing bigger and better, and we are being covered on multiple radio stations, all in South Florida, from Fort Pierce to Miami and beyond. And so we have a bigger, longer slot, and I'm glad that you found us. Tell your friends because we have been in this particular slot for a long time, and now we're moving to 7 p.m. from 6. There have been a lot of people throughout the years that know about Arden Courts, know about Caregiver Solutions Info Show, and we want to get the word out to everyone, so you do not want to miss another episode as we go into the new year. So today we have some wonderful guests, and they're going to be talking about something that if you're a family caregiver, if you're someone who's caring for someone that maybe has some form of dementia like Alzheimer's or some type of memory loss, and you're doing it from home and you're doing your best and you're not sure sometimes if you're doing it the right way, but you're getting it done, and sometimes you just get overwhelmed. Sometimes you just get stressed out. Sometimes you just get tired. Sometimes you just want to run away from it all. And that's okay, because that's all normal for a caregiver. This show, the last 7.5 years, focuses on caregiving for people with dementia. It also focuses on the types of dementia. It focuses on the patient that has dementia, but it really focuses on, too, the caregiver that has to do everything for the person with dementia. And so we bring on lots of different professionals in various fields so that you, as a family caregiver, can get educated and learn a lot about different topics and get tips and information that you'll need to make your journey of caregiving a little bit better. So when you are in the throes of the caregiving and sometimes you think you're at the end of your rope, sometimes you think, gee, I wish I could just wave a magic wand and someone could be here to help me, but you don't know who to ask. You know, maybe your neighbor, you don't want to impose, maybe your family doesn't live close by, they might be all up north, maybe you have some really great friends who have asked you, can I help sometime, can I do something for you? And of course you want to take advantage of that because everybody truly means it if they ask. But I know sometimes caregivers don't want to impose and they don't want to feel bad that they're maybe taking too much time away from their friends because maybe they won't be their friends so much anymore. And it is kind of common anyway when you have some friends and you're a couple and you're used to doing things as a couple, and then all of a sudden your friends start fading away because all of a sudden your spouse has weird behaviors, negative behaviors. You can't get together anymore because it's hard for your friends to understand. It's hard for your spouse to still be in that situation and maintain, you know, everything they had before, because things are changing on a daily basis and you never know like what's going to happen next. So again, what do you do? Well, you're in luck, because today we're going to be talking about how to find someone to help you in the home, how to find the right someone, and what it means to have someone in the home, and how do you go about it. So all those questions are going to be answered for you today. I'm so excited to introduce you to my two guests today. I have Sunny Netto and I have Bree Hurley, and they are both here in the studio with me, and I want to welcome you both today to the show.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Now, Sunny and Bree work for The Key, and so today you're going to find out what The Key is, and I kind of love that name, because the key, that like unlocks the doors.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
And it's the answer, right? The right key, and it's called The Key. But I'm going to let you tell us what it is in a moment. But they both work for The Key, and Bree over here is a regional business development manager.
Thank you.
And
That's right.
Sunny here on my right is a client success manager. Now, we're going to find out what all that means, but let's just start at the beginning. And Bree, since you're a regional business development manager, what is The Key?
Sure, that's a great question. And isn't it fun to say I'm Bree with the key?
Oh, great.
I mean,
love it.
that's really
And
always
you're Sunny with
Sunny
the key.
with the key. We work also with Dr. Seuss on that. But yes, so the key, we are unlocking the way the world ages. So I appreciate you recognizing that. Our goal is to help people age with dignity and grace wherever they need care. So we are the key to home care, and we are the key to dignified aging.
I love that. So the company is a home care company.
That's right.
In essence. And in a home care company, what does a home care company do for people that never experienced it before?
Sure. So our services are private services that we provide. So you do not need a referral to work with us. We're non-Medicare. We do work with long-term care insurance providers, and we can help you navigate your policy if you do have a long-term care policy. We have a department. We can assist you in accepting assignment or getting that reimbursement. But our services are to support you wherever care is needed. So if you live independently at home and need a little respite or need a little bit of service maybe to take you to appointments or help you on the day-to-day, we can assist you there. If you're in a hospital, we can meet you bedside and take care of you in a facility, a senior living community, memory care. We can come and be a part of your life wherever you need us to be a part of.
So you go to the
we
client
go wherever you need us.
wherever they are. That's great. Your title says you're a regional manager.
That's right.
What's your region?
Thank you. So my region is typically Palm Beach County, Martin County, but we are licensed here in South Florida from Orlando to Miami. But the Key is also a national organization. So we work with people who need our services across the country. We actually have offices also in Canada. So we're a growing organization. We're an agency that we want to help. We want to be that resource and the key to help you age with dignity and grace. That's really our goal. So my region is here, though, in Southeast Florida.
Okay. And so because you're a national company, can you cover most states, or is it certain states only?
We're almost in 50 states.
Almost in
yes,
50 states.
Yes, and
So an idea just popped in my head.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of snowbirds that come to
it's
Florida,
exactly
right?
what I was going to share.
And
yeah.
if someone is here in South Florida and maybe you're providing some type of service for someone, and then they go back home for the summer and they still need service, they can start your company and almost like
Seamless.
seamlessly,
That's
right?
right. Exactly right.
Okay.
So we work with, we share the care plans. We can make that transition very smooth because we communicate. We have the same data. We really over communicate when it comes to what's needed, and especially transitioning, say, from being here in Southeast Florida, somebody coming maybe from New York or Connecticut who need to come down just for a few months and have a little bit of support while they're here. And then when they're back in New York, go back to their team. So we work closely with the offices wherever anyone is coming from to make that a seamless transition.
Awesome. So you also mentioned, Bree, that you said the word private.
That's right.
Okay, and what do you mean when you say you're a private?
So private for us, we're an agency, which means firstly that everyone who works for our organization, who we would send to work with our clients and families, are W-2 employees. So they're working for us. Private means private pay,
Okay.
non-Medicare. So unfortunately, we do not accept Medicare insurances or any other insurances, but we do work with long-term care insurance companies and can accept assignment or assist families in getting reimbursed if they have those long-term care policies. But private typically means private pay and not Medicare.
But there's an advantage to that from my point of view, because you said you don't need a referral, so you don't have to go to your doctor and go through that kind of a hassle to get it. And if someone decides, hey, I want someone to help me in my home, I'm just going to get it and pay for it, and it's out of pocket, but it's done, right?
That's right.
Just do
right.
it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just
yes.
do it.
Do your research. Make sure when
And
you
we're
are
going to talk about that in
looking.
just a moment,
Yes.
because that's a good segue.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know where to turn, even how to start looking. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to be asking, how do you even go about looking for the type of care that you want? Is everything out there the same? What do you want to compare? What do you want to shop for? So those are good things to know.
Sure.
So we're going to share that with our audience in just a few minutes. So we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Feelings of depression, isolation, and frustration are common among persons living with Alzheimer's or related dementias. It's common among those who care for them, too. It takes a lot of patience and courage. It also takes knowing when you can no longer do it alone. At Arden Courts, memory care is all we do. Talk to us. We know. We understand. We can help. Don't let guilt keep you from making the right decision. Visit arden-courts.com. Arden Courts follows equal housing opportunity guidelines.
You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on caregiversolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
We're back, Caregiver Solutions Info Show, and today my guests are from The Key, which is a home care company, and Bree Hurley and Sunny Netto from The Key are joining me right here in the studio today, and I'm glad that you guys are here. It's going to be a great conversation because people need to know when they need help. Sometimes they're at a loss, like, where do I start? In the old days we had yellow pages, right? And you could go through the yellow pages and read the little ads, and there'd be a whole list of different, companies that you could choose from and call them all up. But it's harder now because there's so much to choose from, and it can be overwhelming for caregivers. So when someone is deciding that they need some help in the home, okay, and before we go there, let's be a little more specific with what kind of things can your people do for someone in the home, and what kind of things can they not do? Because obviously there are going to be cases that people say, well, I need this or that, and maybe that's not something that a home care company does. So can you talk a little bit about what they can do and what they can't do?
Sure. So for our agency, having a caregiver come in, they would be a certified nursing assistant or a home health aide. So they are licensed, they have credentials, they've gone to school. So that's something to start you off, that you know that the person that's coming into your home has some background, they have some education, and that's really important. Part of the process for us to hire is also making sure, because these again are our W-2 employees, but making sure that that person has a background screening, that they're
Like
checked.
fingerprinted.
Fingerprints, drug testing. We even check driving records. So making sure that everyone is thoroughly vetted before they come in to even interview. That's part of our process. So what they can do once they're working in the home, we're there to be, I like to say, an extension of what you would normally do on your own, but you feel a little bit limited in doing. So we want to be that right hand. We want to be that concierge level of care that maybe you're not getting, but you need support with. So that's helping you with bathing, dressing, helping you with transfers. If you need to get driven to an appointment, light housekeeping, changing the linens on the bed, doing some laundry, what you would normally do on the day-to-day, but you feel a little limited in, we're there to support you and make sure that you have that extra kind of guidance and support to make sure those things are getting taken care of.
So it's pretty much anything that you need help with, like you say, like a helping hand.
A helping hand, yes. I mean, really somebody who would be an extension of what you maybe would normally do on your own, but have some limitations in doing. We're there to kind of help support you and fill in the gaps. And a caregiver can assist. I always say, though, if you have a housekeeper, keep your housekeeper. You don't have to make big changes. The caregiver is there first and foremost to support you with your needs. And then additionally, we want to look for ways to be of service. We want to look for ways to be of value. And part of that is looking for things that you would normally want to do, but maybe feel limited in. So laundry, helping with meals, figuring out some activities that you can do, giving you a better quality of life when you feel that you're a little bit more limited. So we're there to support you and kind of elevate that service.
Great.
And more of an, as Bree was saying, an extension of what you would normally do. We call those activities of daily living. So think of it that way: bathing, dressing, grooming, transferring, ambulating, toileting, things that you would do on your own. They would give assistance to you in doing those
What
things.
about medication?
Reminders. So medication's tricky, especially when you're working with an agency, because we really follow rules and regulations.
Well, that's good
and
to
that's
know.
the way you should do things. But you people hire privately sometimes completely without an agency, and that's a different story. But for the law, a caregiver by law is not allowed to take prescriptions out of a prescription bottle and dose them that way. If prescriptions are poured into a pill box, we can easily help you with medication reminders.
If they're already in there.
If they're already in
okay.
there. And,
Right.
if you need somebody like a nurse to come in, then of course we can supply that as well, because we do have LPNs and RNs who work with us privately too.
Okay. All right,
So we
yeah,
can
it's
assist
good
with
to
that
know.
too. But
So
yes.
they're there and you just remind them to take it and make sure they actually are taking them.
Yeah, because it's hard.
And not hiding them under the table.
It's easy. I mean, sometimes we
giving them
have.
to the dog.
Or giving them to the dog. Sounds like you've had experience with that one, Sunny.
It's easy to forget, even when you just have some supplements or vitamins. I can say that I don't always take mine. So it's having those reminders, knowing that, it's there and somebody's there to remind you so you don't miss any of those medications.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you for explaining what the key is.
Sure.
Explaining what you do, what you can do, what you can't do. So let's say someone has hired and you're in the home and everything. That brings me to what you do, because your title is Client Success Manager. What does that mean?
Well, Client Success Manager is a person who is solely designated to that client to be their go-to contact person should they need anything, schedule changes, questions, concerns, anything. Sometimes they just need to vent. And we listen to them, we figure out what their problem is, and we solve it, and we make sure that they are happy and that we are, maintaining a relationship with them that is successful, and so that we can make them happy and keep them happy and make things as easy as possible for the caregiver.
Well, I like that title, Success Manager,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a title to live up to, right? You
Yes.
want to make it a successful relationship between the caregiver and the client. Whether you can dub yourself the complaint department or the problem solver or whatever, but the whole idea is then whatever it is, you're going to make it a success.
Exactly. So many times there's a lot of agencies that they don't have anyone solely designated to be their contact person. They might call into an office and get someone, or maybe they don't, and they're busy and this and that. But we are solely designated to be their contact person. To
That's
make sure.
great.
Yes,
That's great,
which
because
is-
things could get lost in the shuffle or fall
Yes.
through the cracks, and that's your job to make sure that
yes,
doesn't
that
happen.
to make sure that they're happy.
Yeah, you got a
Yes.
heavy load.
Yeah,
She's great at it, though.
Yeah, yeah, but I love it. I love it.
Okay, good. So, thank you for sharing about what you can do, what you can't do. And let's say someone's listening and they say, I could use some help with my husband. Maybe, the wife wants to go out shopping. And you mentioned respite care. Some people might not know that term. What does respite care mean?
Sure. So respite is giving you a little bit of a break. That doesn't mean it's long term. It doesn't mean it's forever, that you're committed to the same schedule week over week, month over month. It can be you have maybe a wedding you want to attend, and you have a partner who has maybe some cognition issues, and you're afraid to leave them at home, and you need that additional support so you can go and attend the wedding and enjoy yourself and have your partner being taken care of. We could even go to the wedding with you. But it is that respite, which means just a short-term support system to give you that kind of peace of mind, knowing that things are getting taken care of in the interim when you need a little bit of extra kind of TLC for your partner.
Yeah, and respite is a really good thing for caregivers if they just need, like you say, and it doesn't even have to be a big event. Maybe they just need to run to the grocery store
Right.
and have an hour or two to themselves and, just.
Honestly, yes. It's 4 hours is the magic number.
Okay.
So give yourself ample time to have that break, right? So caregiving, we know, is you never turn it off. It's a 24/7 job.
And and that's interesting. You said that the 4 hours is the magic number. I'm sure you mean that in two different ways. One is your minimum, right? Okay, so it's your minimum allotted time to go visit and stay with the client. But it's also 4 hours is magic because, and we've all been, in healthcare for many, many years. We all know that you can't just have someone, pop in for an hour and give yourself a break, because an hour is not enough, because you're trying to go hurry and do everything you need to do, and I got to get back in an hour, and then you're frustrated because, time is up and you really haven't had a break.
Right.
And-
It's peace of mind, right? So 4 hours gives you that time to actually disconnect a little bit, right?
Yes.
So knowing you have the support, knowing things are secure, knowing that things are successful,
Yes.
and that things are taken care of, and giving yourself that space to actually allow yourself that break.
And caregivers can plan for this ahead of time, and they might think, how am I going to fill 4 hours?
Right.
But it's amazing once you have some free
You'd be
time.
surprised how quickly it goes by, right?
You take a book to the beach, and there
Right.
you could spend the whole afternoon.
Right.
Just to give yourself a break, to kind of regroup yourself, have some calm, knowing
Right.
that home is okay.
And it's so important because, caregiver burnout is a real thing. So having time for yourself enables you to just be a stronger caregiver to your partner or family member or loved one that you're caring for. So allowing you, having that time to kind of take care of your own personal needs, giving yourself that break, gives you more energy to go back and be the best caregiver you can be.
Absolutely.
One thing that I've always heard from caregivers in working in my jobs that I've had in the past in dementia care and whatnot is that, and people say, but they're not me. they're not going to take care of my loved one the way that I can. And I have to say that I do acknowledge that I acknowledge that for the caregiver, that's right. No one is going to be you. No one's going to take care of your loved one the way you do. However, this is someone that can be sort of an extension and try their best to be there for your loved one. And it's a small break. It's something that, and if the caregiver doesn't do it, if they're not taking care of themselves, then they can't be there for their loved one
right.
in the way that they need to be.
That's true. And it's funny, it's true what you say, because a lot of caregivers want to be martyrs, saying, I'm the only one that can do this for my husband. I'm the only one. They won't do it my way. You know, he's used to this or whatever. And when you were saying that, it popped in my mind. It's like, well, the wife or the spouse or whoever, they might find that the hired caregiver might do it better and might find a different way. Right? Because sometimes it's hard to get a person with dementia to do something, right? And if you're the spouse, you have this dance that you've done together for all of 50 years you've been married or whatever, and they know how to play you sometimes, right? And they can be stubborn and they can be obstinate, and we know that people with dementia have Alzheimer's, they're going to be different with their spouse than they are with a stranger or with other people, because they still, a lot of times, still have a grasp on their social graces, right? And so
it's the last to go.
The last to go. So a person coming in and having them to get to do something, help them brush their teeth or whatever, the hired caregiver might just have a magic way to get them to do it that the spouse never thought of. And all of a sudden, they're doing it and they never did before. So, you know, it could be a win-win for everybody.
Right.
You're right.
Because sometimes they do. That's what they say. Sometimes they hurt the ones they love the most, you know, more than other people. When they get around other people, then they, you know, they don't want to act out. They want to try and do their best and fit in and do their best for someone. And so, you know, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. Which leaves me this question. What about showering? Are your people allowed to do that?
Yes.
They can.
They can.
They can.
Yeah.
They can.
They
Okay.
can. Hands-on.
And that is totally one of the hardest things for some family members to deal with for two reasons. Number one, if you're a daughter and you have a dad, you might not want to be, you know, hands on the shower, or vice versa, a son with a mom,
Sure.
right? So it might be uncomfortable for a family member to be putting your parent in the shower,
Right.
especially if you're the opposite sex, right? And also, people with Alzheimer's and dementia, a lot of them have a fear of water, and they don't even want to go in the shower. And you really have to coax them and do all these things to convince them, if you're lucky, to do it. And so I've seen where somebody new coming in, what you just said, they don't want to make waves, they kind of want to be, you know, go with the flow kind of thing, and they might have an easier time getting that person into the shower.
Right. It's absolutely possible. And especially knowing that you have that support as a son or a daughter or a family member who is in a unique situation that you are maybe a little uncomfortable with just because it's changing your relationship dynamics. Having somebody else who is trained, certified, educated in exactly how to navigate those certain situations allows you to be the best family member you can be, a son, daughter, loved one.
That's true. And because hired caregivers have a lot more experience of dealing with people with dementia than one person doing it,
Exactly.
they may have some awesome tricks up their sleeve
Right.
and be able to do something, you know, like unbelievable because they've done it before.
Right.
And it's not all new to them. They
Right.
have the experience. And there's so many reasons, you know, to think about those kind of things. So, you know, this is all spontaneous. This is what we do. We talk. But this is what caregivers face every single day, you know, and we're throwing it out there because if you're a caregiver and you're hearing this, and you might be having an aha moment, right? And like, oh, yeah, I do have trouble with that. Or I understand what they're saying, that, oh, they can help with that. It's a great thing.
It
right?
is.
It is.
And we never want to take away from the caregiver who is the family caregiver. You know, we talked about having somebody else come in and support you, but we would follow your guidelines. If you think your way is the best way, we'll take your word for it. We'll follow your care plan as best we can, but we want to support you and be there, you know, if we have tweaks that we can maybe make it a little bit easier, or maybe your loved one responds to us a little bit differently, we'll share that. We're very big on communication. That's part of our roles. It's just we over communicate, but we would follow exactly what you
And
want
she's going to
us.
make it all a success. So, you know, what do you have to lose,
That's
right?
right.
What do you have to lose? This is great. We're going to take a quick break.
Sure.
When we come back, we'll be giving away a free book. If you're a family caregiver and you love to read and learn about caregiving, about dementia, about Alzheimer's, then this book is for you. So be sure to have some paper and pencil. When we come back, I'll be giving you how to get this free book. So stay with us.
Being unable to recognize the obvious often occurs with Alzheimer's or related dementias, even among their caregivers. When the time comes for you to decide that someone you love needs more help than you can give, will you be able to recognize it? Don't wait for a crisis to make the decision for you. Talk to Arden Courts. Memory care is all we do. We know, we understand, we can help. To learn more, visit arden-courts.com. Arden Courts follows equal housing opportunity guidelines.
You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on caregiversolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our national sponsor, Arden Courts Memory Care Community, a part of the ProMedica family of care. Arden Courts has about 55 memory care assisted livings throughout the United States, and 10 of them are right here in the state of Florida. Arden Courts is a leader when it comes to memory care. They are an assisted living for memory care specifically because memory care is all they do. And so they are supportive not only for the residents that live there, but they're supportive of you, the family caregiver. And as such, they are a really, really good resource for support groups, for seminars, and for books. And because you're listening or watching this show today, they'd like to send you this book. It's The Untangling Alzheimer's, written by Dr. Tam Cummings. Dr. Tam Cummings has been all over the country speaking to caregivers, thousands and thousands of caregivers, and she makes sense. This book is easy to read, really makes a lot of sense for people that want to learn more about caregiving and more about dementia. So if you fit in that category, all you have to do to get this free book is just send an email with your name, address, and telephone number to this email address, which is delray@arden-courts.com. That's DELRAY at Arden, ARDEN, -courts, COURTS.com. Tell them that you heard about the free offer on the Caregiver Solution Info Show, and they'll be happy to send this book right to your door. So today, my special guests, again, Bree Hurley and Sunny Netto from The Key. The Key is home care. We've been talking to them about what is home care? What can a home care person do? What can they not do? How can they help not only the patient, but how can they help the family caregiver? And we talked a little bit about respite and things like that. So if somebody was like, yeah, I really think I might need that, what would be the first thing for them to do as far as the process? Because, I mean, they just pick up the phone and say, hey, I heard about you and I think I need some help, right?
Sure.
So what's the process and what kind of things would you need to know from them, and how soon could care start?
So those are really great questions. Thank you. I mean, care could start on the same day if needed. So we are there. We are available to you 24/7. Part of our success is, and part of our goal is to provide you with a caregiver, a CNA or home health aide, who is a good match for you. So the way we like to achieve that is first through an in-person assessment, and that's complimentary. We would meet with you in your home, and that way we get a very deep understanding of what your care needs are, home environment, family dynamics, certain things that maybe you can't pick up on the phone, that we get a better kind of insight when we're face to face, person to person. That's complimentary. That would be our first goal. Of course, we can do it virtually, we can do it over the phone, but for us to really be successful, we love to do that in-person visit. That would be our first step. And then through there, we would ask questions, talk about, what goals you have, maybe talk a little bit about your history, not just your medical history, but we like to get to know you. We want to know who we're working with, who we're caring for. Our goal, our motto is care with love. So we approach everything with that kind of loving approach, and meeting with you in your home environment, getting an understanding of family dynamics, that sets us up for success.
Wonderful.
If you have pets, if you smoke, we want to know those things because that will matter when it comes time for us to match you with the right person.
Awesome. That's great. So that leads me to ask you, Sunny, they've done the assessment, they've met the potential client, they pick somebody, they send them into the home, and it's a total personality disconnect. Because we all know that, especially with people with Alzheimer's, okay, they can be a little difficult to appease sometimes, right? Because their personalities have changed, and there's just a lot going on with them. And sometimes as hard as you try to match up the people to the right person that's going to care, sometimes it just doesn't work, right? So that's when it's going to come to Sunny, and look, we don't really think this person's a good match. It comes to Sunny's department. What do you do?
Well, I listen, first of all, and listen to what the reasons why this person may not be a good fit. That's the key to figuring out what is different, what needs to be changed, and what their preferences are. Their preferences might come out more after they know what they don't want. So really digging in deep to find out what it is they didn't like, so we can help find what they really do like.
Okay.
And then we talk to the staffer, and the staffer knows their caregivers, and I am the liaison to the caregiver.
Okay, so
And I speak with the staffer, who's the liaison to the caregiver.
All right.
So that flow works better. I'm not trying to deal with two clients really at the same time. I'm dealing with a staffer who knows
the
her
liaison,
who
like you
knows her
said.
her staff much better than I do. So then we really discuss it and try to find a better match, and we try that out, and I call them back, let them know who's coming. I talk to them a little bit about that person and what they're like, and then we give it another shot. And usually they're okay with
works.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is not because I expect there to be a problem, but sometimes things come out. Like, I'll tell you, for instance, there was someone who hired a caregiver, a private duty caregiver, and the family never told the company that there was several cats in the house. They just kind of forgot to tell them.
Sure,
right?
as you would.
And you just kind of forget about it. And then so they sent a nice, really, really wonderful caregiver, but that caregiver that was sent to the home was very, very allergic
Sure.
to cats.
Right.
So
Right.
as soon as she walked to the house, she's just sneezing her head off,
Yeah.
her eyes are watering, it's like, okay, this is not going to work.
That's not a good
So,
fit.
and so the point, though, is I want caregivers to realize, look, if you don't think it's a match, if for some reason it's just not the best fit, for them not to be afraid or embarrassed
Exactly.
to say something.
And the beauty is you don't have to say it to the person who's working with you in your home. You have a team. We do this 360 approach to care. You have your success manager who's there as your point of contact, who you can really talk to, tell them exactly what's going on. And truly, we can do coaching with that caregiver first. You know, I think typically it takes at
Yes.
least 2 visits before you really get into a good routine or rhythm with somebody. It's hard on the first day. You know, sometimes it's getting to know someone too. It's really challenging welcoming somebody into your home and allowing them to care for your loved one when you've been the one doing it. So we respect that and totally understand it. And it takes time to get used to it. But if after maybe the second visit you still feel like there's something not right, you communicate with us. If it's something we can coach with the caregiver and help them kind of elevate what their expectations are and what they can do while they're working, we'll work with them to coach them, to set them up for success. And if it is something that we just need to find a new person, we have the resources and we can find a new
Somebody
person.
that's not allergic to cats.
Exactly,
Yes.
who would be a better fit. Yeah, not a problem.
Yes.
And that's the whole point is, again, caregivers sometimes like, oh, I don't want to make waves. I feel embarrassed to say that, you know, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
you know, but it's important.
That's why
Right.
we
It's
have
important.
we try to take that pressure off of you. You don't have to have any type of conversation with the aide who's working with you. You communicate with us directly. We can make it very easy to make those adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes clients need someone that they want someone that is just sitting there and not very engaging and will just be there in case they need it, so that maybe the caregiver needs to feel as independent as possible, and they don't want that. They don't want to feel like they're getting hovered over or
being
or
babysat.
being
Right.
babysat. Exactly. But then there's other clients who really want the caregiver to be engaging and
They eat up that attention. They eat that attention
Attention
up.
up,
They want
yeah.
that attention. They want the hugs and
Yeah.
whatever.
Exactly.
You know, the compliments and the
Yeah, that social connection, right? Part of the way we can kind of validate and be a part of this picture, you know, along with our activities of daily living, like we discussed, but we want to make you feel, you know, connected. And those social ties are so important too. So having that
Right.
kind of friendship that you can build because of this relationship is part of what we want to.
And that's great because sometimes it really does become a friendship.
It does.
Right?
Yes.
And then it's not like I'm helping you, I'm watching you. I'm your friend and I like being here with you.
Right.
and you can trust me.
And you can trust me. Yeah, I like that. So good. Well, we got to take another quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, more about the key with Sunny and Bree, and that rhymes.
Yeah.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on caregiversolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Welcome back. My special guest today with me right here in the studio is Bree Hurley and Sunny Netto, and they're with The Key Home Care Company, and we're talking about what home care is, what they can do for you, what it means to be able to realize that you need home care, which which is my next question, because, you know, as caregivers, we're in the throes of all this, right? And caregivers really, they do their best every single day, and sometimes they don't even know that they're overwhelmed, or they don't know that they're getting sick because of all the stress, right? So could you give me a couple scenarios, I'm sure you have some or you have some, that would be an indication of when somebody should say, maybe I need to get some help in the home?
Sure. You know, obviously, if you've had an injury or a new diagnosis and you're, you know, more limited in your mobility, that would be a time. That's the obvious one. But additionally, you know, if maybe you have a spouse who's just passed away and you're on your own now and you do need additional support on the day-to-day, a couple of hours to have somebody there to make sure that you're having the same kind of care that you did. Maybe you just lost your license or your keys were taken away and you are more limited in your ability to get around. A caregiver hired through an agency like the Key can help you get to those appointments, errands, appointments, you know, doctor's appointments, where you might need that support to get around town. If your vision is suffering, you know, those little triggers where things are changing and, you know, that elevated level of support could help come in.
And I know that November, which we just went through November and we're in December now, but November was National Caregiver Month, right? And I know you put a lot out there for caregivers and things like that. So what are some of the signs and symptoms that a caregiver might experience that would show that they're under stress?
Oh.
That's a big one. I mean, obviously, besides being fatigued and tired,
Yeah.
but there are other little signs.
Forgetfulness.
Okay.
They are overwhelmed, and then that's common for anyone in their job, in their whatever. When they get stressed out, they forget, and so that they're forgetting things. They're not thinking there's other relatives involved in the family, and they're not attending to them. There's
Not being able to make a decision, you know,
Right,
like having
that's-
so
Yes.
many
Stuck.
choices, feeling that kind of, sense of being stuck because, you know, everything becomes overwhelming.
Maybe feeling depressed.
Absolutely. Yeah, unfortunately, you know, we all know the phrase, right? You can't pour from an empty cup, but caregiving is exhausting. It takes a lot of energy. And so knowing that you can have additional support to help fill your cup a little bit is what we want to help provide.
Another one might be just crying for no reason. Because obviously it's a sad thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
Someone-
living grief. It's a living loss.
Right.
And so you're grieving before you've even physically
the
lost
funeral
before the
even.
funeral. You are losing the person that you had 50 years of marriage with, and they're changing. Their personality is changing. They're not there for you in ways that they had been in the past, and things like that. So it's a constant grieving session going on throughout.
And I think that caregivers don't realize sometimes, because they are in the middle of it, that it's just getting worse and worse, but somehow they just keep struggling along until they might end up in the hospital,
Yes.
right? Before their loved one, who's
Yeah.
the
Right.
one who's sick
Right.
because of the stress. And we talk a lot about caregiver stress and what that means. And so if you're a caregiver out there and you're experiencing some of these symptoms, don't wait, right?
Right.
Get some help.
Right.
Right.
At
There's
least
no shame in it.
Absolutely, and start doing your research. You know, find out what resources are the right fit for you, and then make sure that you're communicating effectively and you're getting taken care of. You know, because that's absolutely right. You know, we want to be there for your partner, who you're the caregiver of, but also that you're getting the care that you need.
And in my 21 years of helping caregivers, I've noticed that someone coming in the home is usually the first step they take to getting help, right? And so that's a normal step. And then maybe from there, they might have their person go to a daycare center
Sure.
for the day, and then eventually, you know, go into maybe a memory care assisted living. So it's a process, right? And so caregivers need all of these resources and realize that is a process, but it's like you said, there's no shame in asking for help.
Right.
Don't be a martyr.
Right,
Right?
right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So all that being said, it sounds so wonderful. Can you come and help me at my house?
Whenever you need
I'd
us.
love to, Marcia.
You need a
Clean
shower?
Do you clean closets out?
If that's something you need,
Yes,
we'll,
I'd love
we'll
to
talk about
organize.
it.
All right, we'll talk. So go ahead and tell everyone how to contact you. Give your website, which is, that's easy.
That's easy. TheKey.com.
Key.com. If you would like to talk to one of these lovely ladies, call The Key. Their phone number is 561-826-9282. Again, 561-826-9282, called The Key Home Care, and they will be very, very happy to help you.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you both for being here today. It's been awesome having you.
Thank you. It's been
We've
wonderful, Marcia.
Enjoyed it. Yes, thank you for having
Yeah.
us.
So thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week with another show, same time, 7 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Going forward. So don't forget to change your calendar and spread the word, but we're still here, we're still going, and we're still here for you. So thank you all for tuning in, and don't forget to email for your free book, Untangling Alzheimer's. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you soon. Good night.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Caregiver Solutions with Marcia Teele. Join us next week as Marcia, who has 15 years of Alzheimer's disease and dementia care experience, brings you more needed information to help with the care of your loved one. This show can be seen again on caregiversolutions.info, and questions can be left on the site, which may be used on the program to help others. See you next week for more Caregiver Solutions.
The content, information, and opinions expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guests alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or station.